So what's your problem?
I was just gonna say it was probably. I imagine it's some lady with pink hair, right? Because that's the stereotype, right? Pink hair, and she's got these little glasses, and she's going, well, we could do this scene where Venom is standing in this, rave, and he talks about coming out of the closet. How about that? That's what I pictured. I mean, I didn't imagine there was like a quorum of people going, we got to make this scene way gay. It's got to be fucking the gayest thing, gay.
No, it wasn't like it was like that. That's exactly how it went down. The gay, all the saying gay way too many times. That's exactly how it went down. I'm telling you, it was the board. It was the board of directors who received. You know how naturally, like the people involved actually get the script, and then they're like, all right, yeah, yeah, I like this, and then it goes. It's got to go to all the Seth Rogans, the people who don't actually do shit, but they want to. The executive producers. And then they all get together and then they sit and they just hem and haw about what shit they don't like about the movie because they put X amount of money into it, they get a say. So then they're like, and I'm going to redo this impression for everybody who's watching since you already saw it, but the Seth Rogen of The Office who's like, this scene where Venom is killing people that you've written in it doesn't work for me. What's Why is there not any gay stuff in the script? Like, why have I not seen any gay, some gay stuff in this Venom script? And the intern says, "Well, we could just replace the killing scene. This is an intern. This intern is, she's got full of piss and vinegar, right? So she's like, she's got the good ideas. Like, hey, let's just replace the scene that is true to Venom's character with this LGBT friendly scene to appease Seth Rogen and to appease the 3.3% of the population or whatever. Let's do that. And then of course the Seth Rogen of the Office, he's like, brilliant. They're all very eccentric or whatever in
I,
Hollywood.
I
Brilliant.
probably like both of those combined. Like the lady that wrote it, the broad,
Oh
you know,
sure. Yeah, yeah.
she goes into this quorum and she hands them the script and they're flipping through it and they go, wow, this scene is really gay. And then somebody else who's reading it, he goes, but it could be gayer.
He does this number. He's like, it could be gayer. You know what I think actually happened to Venom the movie. This is what I think happened. I think she came in. We're painting these. We're painting the board as the bad guys and the chick as the good guy, right?
Yeah,
When
right.
it's probably the other way around. Seth Rogen has nothing to do with this script, so we know that they weren't the bad guys, right? So
Right.
they come in, they're presented with this script, and it's just a full blown gay porn, okay? Very obnoxious, over the top. Everybody in every scene ends up covered and or filled with semen, and probably animal semen too,
Wow.
and yeah, awful stuff. And they get to a scene. They get to the scene where he's at the rave, right, and he's covered in his fucking glow sticks or whatever, and he's coming out on stage, and they're like, "This is probably the least gay thing about this script. So let's try to meet in the middle, and we'll do a rewrite. You
Yeah.
go ahead and keep this scene right here, pages 57 to 72. Keep those pages. We're good with that. Eliminate the rest of it. Work around this scene." And like maybe 86, all the really gay stuff, like anything where there's a visible Venom penis or Carnage penis, just go ahead and get rid of that. Anything where Venom's sucking on a dick, a human dick or an animal dick, get rid of it. And then yeah, we'll just keep the rave scene, and that'll be the middle ground I think that we can all meet on. And that's what happened. That's how it went down. Because we all know that the board in this case, in some rare circumstance, was actually the good guy that saved us from a full blown Tom Hardy gay porn.
Which probably would have been better than Venom 2. I probably would have watched that over Venom 2, honestly.
Would you have jacked off to it though?
No,
Come on. Be honest.
no, of course. never in my life been one of them gays.
I have never jacked off to Venom porn. Um, not even. Well, I mean, it's Woody Harrelson too, so it's kind of like he's not a handsome guy, but he's a fit
Uh,
guy, right?
that's a looking dude. Nah, he's a weird looking guy, man.
I don't know. Have you ever seen his penis?
Cooper or like Gerard butt cheeks. You know,
Yeah. Who
he's
was the
not.
first one you said?
Full disclosure, as hetero as I can be, I will say no homo. I'd say the handsomest man in Hollywood is Ryan Gosling, hands down.
Really?
Hands, yeah, hands down. That dude he's a beefcake, dude. In fact, I hope to cast him in movies one day. I think he just fits the bill for everything. I mean, I like Keanu Reeves is great, like he's a great action guy,
He's
but
not a
Ryan,
handsome guy though.
he's got it all, man. He's a great actor. He's handsome, beefcake. He's got that mysterious, long silent pause thing that he does, and then he does the little smirk. You know, he's handsome enough to allure men. That's how handsome that guy is. You know what I mean?
So you think Ryan Gosling is like a gay siren?
Yeah, he's like a gay siren. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I don't know if he's gay or not. I think he's married to somebody, that chick that was in La La Land with him,
Oh, I don't
the
know.
redhead. I didn't
No,
watch.
what I mean is like he can reach out and maybe turn guys gay because like a siren would,
Yeah.
it would redirect ships and they would crash into, they'd crash ashore in the fog, and so like Ryan Gosling, he is redirecting straight men into shallow buttholes, right? Like he's redirecting men into homosexual activities.
Oh, that's something wrong. I feel a little weird looking at it. I feel a little turgidity in my wiener. I don't want to feel a little tingle. But that's a handsome man. I implore you to watch some of his movies. Drive. Watch Drive, dude. That movie you'll be like, damn, this guy is awesome. You'll really appreciate him. Yeah. So
I'm
what else we
aware.
got going on besides all this gay stuff? We really opened up on a gay note. Not that we don't usually do that, but this was like full blown, like high octane gay. Let's
Yeah,
avoid all that, man.
that's
You know,
full throttle gay.
my goal in life since I was a kid was to make sure that people knew I was straight. I don't ever want that misconception. You meet a girl. Like I did this thing to this guy one time in college, and it didn't occur to me like how it probably ruined his life until like years later. But we were surrounded by all these chicks, me and this guy that I was working with on a film project, and he was going on and on about all this stuff, and there was all these really hot chicks around us, like actresses, right? And he goes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, my girlfriend said this, this, and that. And I said, girlfriend? Are you kidding me? This whole time I thought you were gay. Like super red and embarrassed, and was like, no, I have a girlfriend. And then I did that thing from Little Nicky where you go, you mean boyfriend, right? And he got all upset and like stormed off, and like I just laughed about it. But like years later I thought about it, and I was like, I wonder if that like traumatized him. Like what if one of those things, he went through life after that, like reminding people that he's not gay, and like, like wearing the big leather jackets and stuff and being all tough guy motorcycle now because I just like ruined it. And like he was panty waist. Like to be fair, like you would have assumed he was gay. You would have gone, oh, he's got the skinny jeans on, right? Skinny jeans, that's kind of a dead giveaway. Has like a high pitched voice. That's another dead giveaway. If you have like a less than manly voice, like it's a little like, puberty is one thing, but like when you get to that point where it's like you're clearly making your voice higher pitched, right? Like you're making that, I don't want to do it because I don't want anybody to mistake me for that. But you get where I'm going with this. There are key things that you can point out. You don't need a gaydar. You can just talk to somebody and go, oh yeah, this dude's a fucking homo, clearly. You know?
You know
You
how
get what I'm going?
I determine whether or not somebody's gay?
Oh,
If I look down and they're filleting me, that's a pretty good giveaway that that dude is gay. Your story reminds me of something, and it makes me wonder, and perhaps there's people out in the audience that this has happened to. We all have somebody, I think, in our lives that you've done something to that you wonder, even to this day, perhaps decades later, um, if it had like this lasting effect on them, or if perhaps you were responsible for their
yeah.
some stupid thing that they did, right?
Right, right.
And I'll tell you one. I have one. I have one of my own. This is when I was stationed at Fort Hood. There was a dude, brand new. Everyone was out in the field, and since I was supply, I just slept. I stayed at home because I was like, whatever. I'm not gonna go sleep out in the field. Are you crazy? And so I went back to the troop headquarters, and then as soon as everybody was kind of like, as soon as I assumed everybody was asleep, I took off. I went back to my house and fed my dog, and slept in my comfortable bed. And then and then in the morning before 6 o'clock, I would just zip back to the company headquarters and pretend I was there. I'd be like, oh, doing that number or whatever as they're pulling in. But there was a new soldier that was that like got to the unit late, and so the commander and the first sergeant weren't there. Anyways, I was like, hey man, I am getting ready to get out of here. I said, everybody is already out at the field, so I am going to go out and drink. And I went to Bennigan's or whatever. So I'm going to go out and have a few drinks, and then I'm going to go back to my place and chill out. And I said, you're more than welcome to come with, whatever. And so he did. He came and had it. We went to Bennigan's, and ended up there were a few of us. I don't remember who else was there, but we were sitting there, and he asked if I had any porn. And now this is back in the day. This is back in 2005-ish. So this is back when people still had DVD porn, okay?
Right.
And so I did. I had recently gone on an expedition around Austin, Texas, and hit up all these different porn stores or these different sex shops or whatever. And if you went to one, they gave you a coupon for another one because they wanted you to go to visit all these other ones. Anyways, I got a couple DVDs that were funny because I wasn't going to pay for these ridiculous porns, but if they were free, I would absolutely take them. One of them was Life in the Fat Lane, and it was like just morbidly obese women, and
nice.
and then the other one, I forget what the other one was. It was just as disgusting. But anyways, I said, yeah, I got these right here, and I tossed them to him, and he was like, right on. And then I went and I went upstairs and I guess went to bed, and then in the middle of the night I came downstairs and he was gone because I had given him a blanket and pillow and everything to sleep on the couch, and he was gone. No idea where he went. He came in my car, whatever. I get back to the company the next morning. He's nowhere to be found. Never hear about him again. Come to find out, he's gone AWOL. And he never did come back to the unit. And then I ended up PCSing. I have no idea what happened to him. Don't even know his name. I can't even look him up if I wanted to. But yeah, I think my Life in the Fat Lane and perhaps this other disgusting video that I had, it was something. It was. I want to say it was barnyard porn. Life in the Barnyard, or no, that would have been Life in the Fat Lane and Barnyard Babes or something. Anyways, that may have been what triggered him to like just run, like from my house and never return to the unit and perhaps die in the plains of Texas. I don't know. But yeah, I have a feeling that I was in many ways responsible for the demise of that child. What do you think, V?
I don't know. I'm a little shocked looking that you own those. Like, yeah, you say it was a gag, but I don't know, man. I've been to a lot of porn stores, and I've never had the urge, be it free or not, to pick up one about barnyard animals or fat chicks for that. Which I'll give you a pass on the fat chick one.
Barnyard Babes?
No, Barnyard Babe. What are they
You're
doing?
not gonna give me a pass on that?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to be a little disgusted with you.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then.
Uh-huh.
Do you think, and we'll turn this into a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he was justified in running away from my fourplex and never returning to the unit and throwing the rest of his life away because of what I gave him to watch?
Threw those DVDs in my lap, and it was when I first met you when we got to the unit. I would have been like, if this is what the Army is like, this is what I have to look forward to. But I'm out, dog. Throw up the deuces, peace out, Audi 5000. I'm beating feet, dude. I'm gonna, chuck it, as they say. I'm not kicking it with you anymore. That's for sure. I
So
don't
this
even know if
dude
I
threw
can
his
be your,
life away.
I don't know if I can be your friend anymore right now.
Oh, I think that's. I doubt that.
Is that going too far?
Yeah, I think you went a little too far. In fact, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with your behavior. I'm
Yeah.
gonna turn it around on you, and
Yeah.
that barnyard babes versus like you saying that you would not be my friend anymore and be disgusted with me. Two totally different animals, and one is unforgivable.
As the what do we call it? Ethically, I'm like morally just like bankrupt. I guess like all my morality is like I told you. Well, I might as well tell the story again. I was at the grocery store a couple days ago, and like I just like don't care about people anymore, especially women, like and like offensive women, right? So I'm at the grocery store, and I like see this spot in the line is open, and all the other lines they have these like long lines, and there's this lady just standing there talking with her friend, kind of like off, like a little bit like not in line, but off to the side, and so I like sneak in front of her, right, just like skirt in with my shopping cart, and she like does that number, like like I guess that's like right, like a, and she goes, ladies first, right? What the fuck, ladies first? She says to me in this day and age, and I go, well, I believe in equality, right? Which I don't, and I told you this before. I don't. I just was shoving that in her face, and she does the scoff again. She's like, and she goes, how do you sleep at night? And I go, I sleep naked on silk sheets. That's how I sleep at night. And then I move my shopping cart. And then I laughed because I realized that that statement was just entirely true. There was no lie. I do sleep naked on silk sheets. I was just telling her a fact. I wasn't like trying to mock her or anything. She
The
asked me a question.
lie,
I answered her matter of factly. But the
the
point is,
hold on. The
shit.
lie that you told was not that you sleep naked. It was not in your catty response or whatever. It was in the fact that you said that you believe in equality. That was the lie. And like she probably didn't expect that.
No, I don't believe in equality at all. That's a fucking crock, dude. That is the dumbest thing that's ever come out of civil rights or anything in history is that people go, "Oh, we're equal. We want to be equal." That's impossible. The equality is impossible because nobody is the same. We'd have to be fucking clones of each other. There was this funny, I forget what it was, what I was watching where this guy, man, what movie was it? Somebody was saying about the best way to like achieve equality is just that everybody's got to keep fucking each other until we're all the same color.
Yeah, till we're all mutts.
Just gotta keep fucking each other. But that's not gonna happen because there are certain races that are pretty disgusting. There's this one they wipe their butts with their hands. Do you know
That's
about
true.
that?
And this topic, you just tugged a thread on this sweater, right? And now we gotta unravel this fucking equality sweater because there's something that I realized. You can never achieve. Okay, let me rewind.
Uh-huh.
Women wanted equality, right? That was just the generic thing. Like, hey, let's let men and women be equal. Equality, equality, equality. And that was for the longest time. That was how it was addressed, just kind of like generically and
Sure.
broadly, like equality, right? And just big colorful letters. But then they realize that there's good equality and bad equality, right? Like the good equality, everybody gets paid the same, everybody gets promoted just as fast as one another, everyone is afforded the same positions in the corporate ladder or whatever.
Right.
But true
Uh-huh.
equality all of a sudden requires women to also put in the same physical effort in like, oh, hey, we got to move the break room. I need you to grab one side of the fridge and I'm going to grab the other and we're going to move it, right? We're going to move it down the hall. Or, hey, I need you to go ahead and move all those boxes over to that area or whatever. And we're going to go, I don't know, file papers or something. Like all of a sudden when they're held to that same standard, it's a problem. Or the draft, women are like, okay, well, we want equality, but not the draft. We don't want to also like be on the radar for like if for some reason, especially now that people are leaving the military in droves because of this vaccination nonsense, or people are not going to join because of this vaccination nonsense. I think a lot of these women are all of a sudden going to legitimately be at risk for being drafted in the next conflict. And that was actually included in legislation that was just passed. I believe the NDAA, or is being worked on. Anyways, but they don't want that. So there are bad things that they don't want the equality. Hey, we want the same positions in CEOs, but granted, there's more men in CEO position than there are women. There's also more men in sanitation than there are in women. So let's even both of those out. If you really want equality in CEOs, you're going to have to want equality in sanitation as well. So they realized, no. We don't want equality. We want wage equality, right?
That's like, you know what that is? It's just more privilege. That's all it is. They have privilege, right? Like, okay, speaking from experience in the Army, they have all this privilege, right? Like, there's a separate PT test for them.
Sure,
they get
sure.
to do girl push-ups. Their runs at times can be less. You know, if you're pregnant, you can just jump out of the Army, no questions asked. There's all this privilege for them, right? And then they go, oh, I don't have enough privilege. And, like, it's funny, like, another, like, perfect example. Like, my younger sister doesn't talk to me. I haven't talked to her in, like, 5, 6 years now, maybe longer. Probably longer. And here's why. I'll give you the perfect example to go with what you're saying. It was all because of a Facebook post. She posted this thing on Facebook, and she goes, which, first of all, my sister is like this, oh, I'm a feminist, and I believe in equality, like this. She's like very, what do you call it, outspoken about it, right? Like, oh, women power and women this and whatever, right? And so she does this post. She says, I'm moving, and I need some strong men to help me. And so my comment, I typed this comment. I go, what, women can't help you? Are women not allowed to help you? Which, I guess that was a little like snide or whatever. But she got all mad. She sent me this like message, and she's like, don't post fucking stupid comments on my blah, blah, blah. And I go, wow, that's a legitimate question. I thought you were like woman power, but it looks like you need a man to help you with something. And she got all mad, and like she hasn't talked to me in 6 years because of that. But it was like one of those things, like perfect example, like you said. You want equality until you need something moved.
Yeah.
You need something that's too heavy moved, or a jar of fucking pickles open. that's all there is to it. And I got nothing against women. I've said it before. I love women. I have all their albums.
Yeah.
And I dig them. Especially the ones with the good butts and big jugs.
Yeah. And
Stuff.
but
I don't
but
care.
Those ones. But you know who I can't stand? Black women. What? Why would you say that, V? No, but that's they had to specify which equalities they wanted, and that's all of a sudden the new thing. And I challenge you to find an instance in which women reach for just like equality, broad equality, without injecting some kind of like without prefacing it with some word about something that they want. Food equality. That'll be the thing in the in the gulags, right? They'll want food equality. They want the same amount of food as the men, but the men need it because we're out burning more calories because we're actually cracking rocks. And I look forward to those times in the communist gulags.
Yeah.
Boy. So where are we at? We still got about 6 minutes, huh? Oh, Megabit just called you out. He said, if you love all their albums, you better name all their songs.
There's Roxanne.
That's
right?
one. Yep, that's one of them.
I want to turn on the light. And then, let's see, April, she come with, what's the fucking Simon and Fart Barfunkel?
Well, those are two boys. Simon and Garfunkel are boys.
The song is called April, She Will Come. And I think it's about like making some girl like bust. Like
Really?
the deep move on her vagina. Well, you don't know. The words say April, she will come, but it's like, I think it's about like doing the DJ move on her vajayjay. You know what I mean?
Can you demonstrate that for us?
It's kind of like.
That's
Yeah.
how you get them. Is that all of them? Is
That's
that all the songs?
top of my head. Yeah.
I
What
think
about?
Eleanor Rigby is one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. Layla, right? That's
Good
one.
one. Yep,
Layla.
that is. Lola, that's another one.
Yeah, Lola. Yeah.
Jenny from the Block.
Yeah, Jenny. Oh.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still Jenny from the Block, right?
what about Jimi Hendrix' Foxy Lady? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Ba-boom. Ba-boom. Remember on Wayne's World when he does the swing move as the song plays?
You know what bothers me about this V?
Swing is a pelvic thrust. That's what it
Oh
is.
well, they don't know that. They're too young to
Oh
know
yeah,
Wayne's World, right?
Wayne's World. Yeah,
Swing.
yeah. Swing.
That's
Like a
what
way
we
of
used to
saying
do.
I got a boner from that. That was like a, you know,
You
a
could
play.
do that back then,
Got a boner now.
right? You could do that. Now you can't. You end up getting a sexual assault charge, right? Because if you're the whole thing, and let me explain this to some of you young guys, right? On Wayne's World, they would do this thing where they would put their hands on either side of the chair and they go swing, and they'd raise their butt up, right? And they'd thrust their pelvis. And that was to, like V said, that was to show that they were suddenly erect by what they saw before them. And you would do that if a hot girl came in the room or walked by you or they said something that perhaps was sexual in nature. That was the 1990s version of That's What She Said, and you would follow it up with a swing. But yeah, that was you can't do that now. I challenge you to try and do that in an office environment. You'll end up getting fired.
Yeah.
You know what bothers me about that whole thing that you just did, V, is you said, I love women, I have all their albums. Megabit called you out and said to name all their songs, and every song that you named was written and sung by a man. So I'm starting to wonder if perhaps you should be wearing a large leather jacket and, maybe your girlfriend goes to another school. Is that what I'm to draw?
Yeah, no, I have a girlfriend, I swear.
You wouldn't know her.
Yeah, you wouldn't know her. Yeah, she goes to the other school on the other side of town. But we make out all the time.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I, in fact, saw him. I'll vouch for V that he makes out with her all the time. So what do we got, V? Is that it for... I mean, I had some stuff I wanted to say, but...
I had the DIY joke that for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't have the beginning part, but I just have the punchline. So you can use this as a punchline for anything, right? Like you come up with the joke and then you finish it with this punchline. And the punchline goes, it's like farting in the bathtub. It's hilarious until the bubbles pop. Because, then it just stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to practice it with something and then,
well,
farting in the bathtub is hilarious. It's funny, you get the bubbles, you hear the sound.
This reminds me of when you say, well, it's like riding a scooter. It's fun. Fucking a fat girl is like riding a scooter. It's fun until your friends catch you, right? So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, doing such and such, doing such and such is like farting in the bathtub. It's funny until the bubbles pop, right? So that's what you got to do, is you got to figure out what correlates to, it's fun until kind of like, over time, as time progresses and you ultimately reach a certain end, that's when it's not good anymore. So it's like, I don't know, for instance, here's one. Banging a hot chick who has HIV is a lot like farting in the bathtub, right? Because, when the bubbles pop, it stinks. When you go and get your blood test, that's when it stinks, right? So, there you go. I got you. That's what you got to think about. Those bubbles, there's a fart in there. And so when the bubble pops, you're going to smell a fart. Listen, you just fucked up the joke. You're not supposed to explain the joke.
It's hilarious. But,
you're not supposed to explain the joke, V. I actually, as we were talking about before, you did just explain the joke. I hate to tell you. I hate to be the one to tell you what just happened just now. But no, there was a scene on Chucky, because I watched the show Chucky last night, which I segued into what we were talking about before the cameras started rolling.
Talk about more. Let's get ready to get gayer.
Yeah.
Gay. Look.
Super gay. Like if you thought, okay, so Chucky operates in a... How do I do this?
I sense some shame. Like I feel like you feel ashamed that you know about this, because you're like, okay, let's be real here. Like let's give you some backstory here. Like Tom is an avid horror. Like Tom is a horror guy. Like I don't watch horror films, but if I need to know something about the genre, or like any horror film, I consult Tom. I go, you have had to have seen this, right? Or I go, oh, did you know about this new horror film? And you're already tracking it. So like that's your, what do you call it? The repertoire, right? You're a connoisseur of the horror films.
It's my niche.
So seeing something like this new Chucky show, it's probably devastating, I imagine. But continue.
I'm gonna do the Timothy Oliphant. First of all, when he's pointing at the kid or whatever, like, because you were laughing. This is not funny. This is not a joke, V. This is a very serious thing. I've been waiting for this show for a long, long time. In fact, this predates the show. Knowledge of the show predates the reboot with Mark Hamill doing the voice of Chucky, which was an abomination. It was also an abomination before God. But the show, they'd been talking about it for a while, and it was Dan Mancini who wrote and directed the original one, and then it was also Brad Dourif returns to do the voice of Chucky. And Kyle from Child's Play 2, she returns for a few episodes. Andy, he also returns for a few episodes. The original Andy. Very, it's a big deal, this show is. I watched the episode last night because it was the first episode premiere. And it was the gayest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. We thought that the Venom script was an exercise in gay porn script writing. Mm-hmm. That would be it pales in comparison to the work of whoever did this abomination that premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel last night. Because the kid, right? So this is a kid. He's 13 years old. He's in middle school. The main character, he's gay in the show. All right. Not only is he gay, there's another gay kid in the school, and it's not a very big class. Okay, so statistically, this place is an anomaly. The only person who criticizes the fact, I mean, some of the kids, they, make a big deal about this kid being gay, but the dad is the only one who criticizes the kid for being gay, and he says he's 13. He doesn't even know. So the dad makes a great point. He says, well, he's 13. He doesn't know if he's gay or not. He doesn't know what he is. So don't try to take him down this road. But then the dad, being the only one with a lick of common sense, all of a sudden they paint him, after they've painted him as the homophobic monster that he is, they all of a sudden paint him as the alcohol abuser who ends up hitting his kid and then is killed off in the first episode. Spoiler alert. But then, and here's what I'm hoping. Okay, this is a hope. There's nothing else. There's nothing to back this up. I have no insight on beyond what I'm about to say. But it's a hope. Okay. All the characters that support this kid and his homosexuality are idiot characters, and they're written to be idiot characters, and they are widely hated by the way they are written. The way that they're hated. They're designed to be hated, but they're all very supportive of this kid being gay. The only one who you're supposed to like that is supportive of his homosexuality is Chucky, right? And Chucky, who we've watched throughout this whole series, we know he's a psychopath. We know he's a weirdo. We know that he's a serial killer and a filthy criminal who is trapped in the body of a doll and has killed countless people throughout the series. He is the only one that you're supposed to like that supports this kid. So what does that tell you about support of the LGBTP community, is that you're either an idiot designed to be hated or largely hated by the population, or you're a psychopath with problems who will later go on to murder countless people.
See, that baffles me because I've seen, believe it or not, I've seen a Chucky movie. And I want to say it was Bride of Chucky. And there was this scene, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's this couple, right? These two kids, right? And they're a girl and a boy, and the girl has the gay kid pretend that she's her date for the prom. Mm-hmm. And then when they go outside the house, it's this other like beefcake dude or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they're traveling on this road and they're having this argument or whatever, and they get out and the gay guy gets out and he's like freaking out at the girl and the guy and he's going, this needs the blah 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 blah. And then he steps into the road and this like diesel just comes by and like smacks him and he literally explodes. The gay guy gets hit by a truck, like a diesel, and explodes. Do you remember this scene? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
It's hilarious. And so, to me, that says a lot. Right? Like, first of all, gay people are expendable.
Well, yeah.
And more hilarious when they get exploded by diesels.
You're right. So here's another thing that I want to point out about the Child's Play movies. I'm a huge fan. So for Ronnie Yu, I don't know if you know who Ronnie Yu is. He's a director, so I expect that you. That's the only reason I expected that you would know him. He does a lot of movies that are. He actually did Freddy vs. Jason. He did Bride of Chucky. So the Chucky series and he does a lot of Chinaman movies. But the Child's Play franchise has been directed by a lot of different people. People have come and gone as far as writers. That's the thing with horror movies, as with some other genres, is they will alternate writers and directors. They'll trade out and in and out, and they'll, you don't want to make the next one? Well, we'll just pull the next the next kid who's chomping at the bit, who's only been directing commercials and music videos. We'll have him come do it, right?
Franchises, they're owned by studios, so they can just get whoever.
Yeah,
they go, we'll just get someone else, and we'll make it gay this time.
Yeah, and that's what has happened. That's what's happened with the Child's Play series.
Joe is just depressed because somebody just like shat all over his thing. They're probably regretting big time that they sold it to a studio.
Could be. Now, here's the thing with the Child's Play movies, and I'll tell you, if you haven't watched them before, they're fun. I like them. I really do. I enjoy them. My son and I went. I like Chucky. I have all his albums. Dayton and I actually went and got. We were supposed to get four of their autographs. We were supposed to get Andy, his mom, the dude who does the voice for Chucky, and his daughter, his actual real life daughter, who's in the movies, Nika. We were supposed to get all four of them to sign, but Andy was the only motherfucker to show up because of COVID. This is last year, like right at the height of, like the beginning of COVID. And you know what's funny is years ago on MySpace, I got into it with the dude who plays Andy. I fucking forget his name, but
fuck MySpace.
Yeah, well, this is you knew about this. I told you about this because he and I got into it on MySpace, and I said, "You can suck a fart right out of my asshole." I forget what his name is now. I gotta look it up because I specifically said his name in the thing when I was talking shit about him. But I said, "Yeah, you can suck a fart out of my asshole."
That's great. You know, the imagery of that insult alone is enough to off-put people.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Suck a fart out of someone's asshole. Because you really have to suck. Get a fart out of there.
Well, unless they help you, maybe. Right? Alex Vincent was his name. Alex Vincent. I said, you could suck a fart out of my asshole, Alex Vincent. Because I was asking him for an autograph on... I had come across some kind... I forget what it is now, but I had come across some like really cool Child's Play memorabilia, and I needed him to sign it. I think it was just like a rare poster, which I left behind. I don't even have it anymore. I left it in that garage that was full of spiders or whatever in Fort Riley. But yeah, I had asked him, I'm like, how much does it cost for me to get your fucking autograph, dude? Because I want your autograph on this picture. And he said, oh, it's like, and he wanted to charge like $60. And I was like, no way. I said, I am not paying $60 for your fucking autograph. You were a kid back then. What are you, on the circuit and nobody's paying for your shit? You gotta, like, and he and I were going back and forth. And then finally he said, I forget how it got to that point, but at some point I was like, listen, do you offer like any discounts or whatever? Like if I pay for the postage or something? And he was like, no. And I said, well, you know what? He's like, well, it's $60 firm. And I said, you know what? You could suck a fucking fart out of my asshole, Alex Vincent. And then that was the end of it. He blocked me. And I ended up meeting him last year. And I paid $60 for his fucking autograph for my son, not for me. Like, I didn't want anything to do with it.
You told him to suck a fart out of your asshole right there.
I should have. I told him, I did steal a quote from Child's Play 2 because at one point he calls somebody microchip. He's like, "Hey, back off, microchip." And I called him that when we were arguing back and forth on MySpace. I said, "Whatever, microchip. Why don't you sign this fucking thing for me?" But yeah, it was a good time. But then I didn't want him to know. Like, I'm sure he long forgot about that situation. I used to argue with people on MySpace all the time because famous people couldn't hide behind blue check marks. Like, they had to see your messages. And if you tracked them down on MySpace, they responded a lot of times. Like Brian Harnois from Ghost Hunters or whatever. Remember I told him that he was a big fat fucking chicken? And I said, "What, are you going to cry about it?" Or no, he said, he's like trying to get tough guy with me after I made fun of him. And I said, "What, are you going to do, fucking run away, Brian Harnois?" And he blocked me. Dude, run!
Yeah,
anyways. Are we ready to...
People in the chat, are you going to address them and take your shot, or...
Are we? I don't know. I was having a good time laughing about...
This week.
I was having a good time laughing about calling Alex Vincent out, who's still part of the series. He's in the series. He's in the TV show now. But yeah, let's do the people in the chat here. We have a new guy in the chat, Dan Zag. He actually joined the Discord, which is pretty fucking cool of him. Thank you, Dan Zag, for joining the Discord. And Megabit, I want to talk about your big news, but I don't want... And I know your wife kind of made it a big deal on Instagram, so I feel like I should be allowed to, but out of respect for you and your family, I'm not going to without your permission. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if I can talk about it, because I want to celebrate it. I want to mention it here. Otherwise, welcome to the chat, Jay Coop, Bodacious, Mike in Manitoba, Megabit, Joseph Breyer, the Unabomber, Brian Davis, Dan Zag, Leo Og, and the FBI guy in the chat. Also, super fan. I have a feeling he's out there somewhere. Last week I mentioned him at one point on the show, and he shot me a text with like a thumbs up or something. So I knew he was listening, and I don't want him to feel left out just because he's not in the chat. Poor devil. He can't be associated with us publicly, so he has to keep himself quiet and whatever. But yeah, what are we cheersing to? Oh, we can go ahead. You know what? We can cheers to what Megabit's news, right? Megabit is now, and this is like the toughest secret I've ever had to keep, right? Like almost 9 months ago, I was told that Megabit was going to be a daddy. Mm-hmm. And I was told the date, and I was told everything, and I was told to keep them in my prayers, and to, because I had been following their efforts to become parents, and I was very excited for them. And when the news dropped, I was one of the first people to hear about it, and I had to keep it under wraps. But Megabit is now a daddy as of October. Gosh, she was like, 2 days late? So a couple days ago. As of a couple days ago, Megabit is now a dad. So congratulations to Megabit and his family, his growing family. The first of many, I assume, because he's Mexican. So.
Oh yeah, if you're Mexican, then you're popping them out like crazy. Mexican sperm, dude, is like insane. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could say that because I've gotten a couple people pregnant. But I'll tell you what, dude, Mexicans, they bang like rabbits and they procreate like rabbits. They might as well just be descendants of rabbits because that's what they do, man. They just pump and drop them out, But yeah, man, congratulations to that baby, the wee baby. Wee baby.
Yeah, everyone go ahead and give Megabit a wee baby congratulations in Irish, as best an Irish impression as you can give him. So V, what are we talking about today? Do you want to since I kind of gave you a real rough idea of what we were talking about, go ahead and take it away.
As a fan of Billy Zane as the fan. No, I didn't even see that. Well, I saw it years ago. I don't remember what the. And then you're what, Banshee Banger? Is that what that says?
No,
Banshee Banger?
First of all, it says Banshee Ban Her. Those are my pronouns.
On her. Oh, okay. I get it. Banshee. I get it.
Banshee,
I get it.
her.
Okay. Yeah. No, I guess you said you wanted to talk about ghosts or something, right? We haven't done a paranormal episode, so I'm glad because we're always talking about conspiracies. We're always like, oh, the government, blah blah. My dad called me the other night, like 9 o'clock, and he's like, oh, how's it going, blah 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 blah, and then he jumps right into like all this crap that he's upset about, and this gay stuff, and Joe Biden, this and that. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to go to bed angry, dude. Like you're that dude. I'm gonna lay down and have heartburn. You're trying to give me
Are
heartburn.
you trying to give me heartburn?
Like come on, like this isn't what I want to hear about. And like all this like conspiracy stuff just makes me angry. So it'll be nice. It'll be a nice change to talk about some paranormal stuff, dude. So what do you got? What tell me about some ghosts?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, what'd you say? Say again?
I said, why don't you tell me about some ghosts so I can make fun of it?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is like incredibly paranormal, dude, because it's like there's nothing you can dismiss it as, right? We're talking about ghosts entirely. We're not talking about the possibility of ghosts. We're not talking about whether ghosts exist or not, and instances in which, like, perhaps it was a ghost or perhaps it was not. We are talking about the different types of ghosts, and there are many.
So
Um,
like a what do you call it? A ghostiary, right? A ghostiary,
a
right?
ghost dictionary.
Yeah, well, because like okay, in video games, like you have a bestiary where it's like a list of all the monsters in the zone, right? Bestiary. So in this case, it'd be like a ghostiary or like a spectriary. I don't
I
know.
would call it, yeah. No, you're right.
Is that close?
You're right. I would call it a ghostopedia.
Ghostopedia. Okay, let's go
Yeah.
with that. I'm with it.
Actually, there's Ghostlore is the name of the episode. It's rare that I come up with the name. I mean, sometimes it's obvious, but it's rare that I come up with the names beforehand.
Mhm.
And it's going to be this episode was going to be you had me at Ghostlore because Ghostlore is an actual term. Apparently, I found out today while I was doing my
Oh,
research.
all
And
right.
this is something I had meant to do for some time. I had been meaning to kind of delve into as part of my demonology studies, also studying ghosts and the various types of ghosts because, we think of ghosts as kind of like a binary is it a ghost or is it not? Or is it a ghost or is it a demon? Or is it a ghost or is it this? Like we kind of have, it can't be a ghost with a subheader of banshee, right? Like,
Ah,
I've operated under that assumption of hey, it's either a ghost or it's a demon, right? That's kind of how I've operated, and I've wanted to expand upon that to some degree, but I didn't think that anyone really had it figured out yet. And I've told this to especially Octoberpod, and let me shout out Octoberpod because I told them like months ago that I would give a shout out on the show. Octoberpod, they're on YouTube. He does some really great. He has like really great production value on his shit, and his stories are really like they're interesting. Like they have a different type of prose than most or
is
whatever. And
is that one of the racist people that are associated with us?
no, no,
So-
no. They're not. He's actually the opposite of our anti-Semitism friends, our
yeah,
racist friends or whatever.
France, yeah.
Which let me say this: we like to pick on our racist friends and our anti-Semitic friends or whatever. But I love our anti-Semitic and racist friends. I do. I like Yakov. I like those rascals or whatever. Um, but no, this guy, he is actually the complete polar opposite of that. Like he's actually a liberal. Don't hold that against him, but he's a good friend of mine.
Like,
Um, yeah. Well, I'm just letting anybody else know who hasn't already developed an opinion of him. But yeah, Octoberpod, great stuff. He's on YouTube. Go check him out. Subscribe, comment, like. He does premieres all the time. He's got some fun stories. Anyways, I told him recently on a story, he was asking me about ghosts, and he said, so is it like this or this? Because he comes to me for some of this information, and he asked me at one point, and I said, I think it's a little more complicated than that, Edward. And like that was somehow I ended up getting like quoted as saying as if we didn't already know that, but the dynamics of like ghosts and their existence, it's probably a little um it's probably a little more complicated than just like a binary is it a ghost, is it not, or is it a demon or is it not. So what I did was I went through and I collected all the for just as like something that we could use as a standard or a metric. I used a game that Fetusberry and friends has been playing recently called Phasmophobia. And I used to play it when it was in the beta stage, and my boys play it every once in a while. But Phasmophobia is the fear of ghosts. as the word would imply, and I'm sure you could assume, or I'm sure you could put together. But Phasmophobia is a game where you are a ghost hunter and you kind of team up with three other ghost hunters, or you can play single player. And you go and you take whatever equipment, ghost hunting equipment, you can buy it, you can pay for it, and bring it with you on these what you call them, these ghost hunts or whatever. And then you go in and you have to determine what type of ghost it is. And I always kind of thought that was bullshit, and I still kind of think it's bullshit because I was a ghost hunter for better part of a decade, and I never really ascribed to the whole there are different types of ghosts. But this game, it's the foundation of this game is that there are various types of ghosts. And so what I did was I took all those ghosts and I researched them. And I did like a real quick down and dirty research, pulled up some pictures, saved some pictures for us to go over as we talk about them. And we're going to talk about the origins as well as what they are now, the current, basically what you need to know about the ghosts that are in Phasmophobia, the true story. So this is like prefaced with a based on a true story or whatever. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Hello, welcome to the chat, Chris Rose. I love how Chris Rose is like always late to the chat, but I appreciate you always showing up. Thank you, Chris. We do have, let's start off with some pictures from Phasmophobia, so you kind of understand what I'm talking about here. The game, it's a fun game. I'm not denying it. I'm not downplaying the game. I'm just disagreeing with the, some of the fundamental things within the game. So here's an example of a yokai in the game. Hold on, here we go. You ever seen this game, V?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Would you ever play it? Would you be interested in playing Phasmophobia?
No, of course not. Come on. Come on, there's no waifus. There's no turn-based battle.
Oh, hold on. There was a waifu, actually.
I hate that third-person view, too. I've always hated third-person view.
This is first person.
That's what I mean, first person.
Oh, okay. There's your waifu. She's waiting for you. Honey, I'm home. Or no, you're like, honey, I'm home. And she's like, oh, hurry up inside. I made you stew.
With the flashlight.
Well, yeah. Can you, that's awful. I used to play that game a lot with James, actually. Speaking of people that we don't talk to anymore, I used to play that game with with James a lot. And I was never very good at it, but yeah, it's a fun game. I recommend, and I expect some kind of I hope that they in some way send us some kind of money or merchandise or whatever for this endorsement. But I think Phasmophobia is a funny game. But anyways, here is an example. We'll go ahead and get right into it with the Banshee. The Banshee, her. It's a woman of the fairy mount, or a fairy woman, right? A female spirit in Irish folklore who heralds the death of a family member, usually by wailing, shrieking, or keening. Do you know what keening means, V?
Sure I do.
Oh, okay. This is basically so basically she's if you've ever heard of the Curse of La Llorona, right? The wailing woman.
We talked about that bitch before. That we talked about that being her bitch before.
I got racist you decided to be about ghosts. Is it really like being racist if it's about a dead person?
No.
Say again?
I said that's my word. I'm Mexican, so I can say beaner all I want. Any Hispanic racial epithet I could just drop because I'm Mexican, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually 6% black, so I can say whatever I want. If you're black, if you're on the far end of the extreme spectrum or whatever, you can just say whatever you want. So I can say zipperhead, not even get in trouble. Also, she's the predicator. I'm sorry. Let me explain what she looks like. As you saw in those pictures, she has long streaming hair and wears a gray cloak over a green dress, and her eyes are red from continuous weeping. Sometimes she wears white with just red hair. Predictor of death. If someone is about to enter a situation where it is unlikely that they will come out alive, she will warn people by screaming or wailing. Giving a rise to a banshee is also known as a wailing woman. So, she's actually, it sounds to me like she might be even a good guy in some situations. Do you ever wonder, like, we have in our world, right? We have some people who are perhaps like not good people, but in certain circumstances they end up being good people. Like they rise to the occasion to become a hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I guess that applies to the spiritual world as well with the banshee. You got any stories about banshees, V?
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of at a loss here. I don't know what to say. All I know is, can I fuck her? Can I fuck this
That's a
banshee?
good question. It's a good
Yes.
question.
Does she have a vagina?
Hold on. Can you fuck her?
Yeah, can I fuck
You
her?
mean may you fuck her?
Both, both. Is it- and
I
then
think
may I?
I think with with a positive attitude, you can do anything that you want, V.
Yeah.
I think with a positive attitude, you could fuck a banshee.
Yeah.
So the next one on our list of scary spookies is the demon. And we all know what a demon is, right? We've talked about this. There are some of these we're going to be able to skip, kind of burn through pretty quick because we've talked about them on the episode. Unfortunately, we don't have Dave Outlandish with us because, and perhaps I didn't even tell you guys about what I talked to Dave. Did I talk about what happened with Dave?
That guy looks like Charles, the king that we saw last week. It's the same picture.
Oh yeah, that's Prince Charles, the Duke of Edinburgh, the Dracula of Edinburgh. The no, that's Philip. I'm thinking of Philip. Did I tell you about what happened to Dave Outlandish? He gave me the go ahead to talk about him. Did we talk about that on the show?
Yeah, I bet I can guess what happened to him.
Please talk about him. Talk
Did he,
negatively about Dave. Talk negatively about my good friend Dave V.
Did he summon something and get like sucked into some sort of portal where his mind was drained and like he lost all consciousness and ended up in some other astral plane where he was like raped by the devil?
Well, I hardly think that's not really
That was,
fair.
it was close to that. I bet it was close to that. I bet he was on some drugs when it all happened though, whatever it was. I guarantee you whatever it was, he was twacked out.
So
I bet LSD. I'm betting LSD.
all right, stop picking on my friend Dave. Here's exactly what happened to him. All right, and I know that you know because I told you what he said to me. He said, I had asked him if he wanted to come back on the show after we talked last time, and the audience said that they wanted Dave to come back because the audience also loves Dave. Doggone it. I asked him if he wanted to come back, and he said he's not ready yet. Okay. And Dave is all fucked up right now. Like I talked to Dave and he's all fucked up. Like is the best way that I can describe it. He's in like a bit of a pickle with where he's at right now. Because the last we heard from Dave, he was going to find God and throw a rock at him. And if God flinched, he will know that his theory was correct. So I'll tell you what happened in Dave's words, because I told Dave I wouldn't tell him anything that he didn't like explicitly approve. This is what, and I quote from Dave: "You can tell them that I reached a phase of my experimentation that took a huge psychological toll that I am still dealing with. And if you want to read some of the rambling shit, that's fine. I just know I got in front of a mic right now, I might be weirder than I want to be." So, to put it kind of like, whatever V said is pretty much what happened. Like, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. That's essentially what Dave said, like, without giving away his exact, just pretty fucked up stuff. Anyways, anyways, demons. Let's get back to demons, right? Demons. It originates from the term daemon, spelled D-A-I-M-O-N, or daemon, D-A-E-M-O-N, originally referred to a lesser deity or guarding spirit such as daemons of ancient Greek religion or mythology and of later Hellenistic religion and philosophy. It's derived from the Proto-Indo... You know me, I'm a whore for, like, linguistics, right? derived from Proto-Indo-European Daemon, meaning provider or divider of fortunes and destinies, from the root da, to divide. They are seen as the souls of men from the Golden Age, as tutelary deities. All right. Does that make sense? Are you still following me, V?
Yeah, I'm still there.
All right. Here's another picture of a demon.
Tail. Is that his wiener or is that his tail?
I don't know. It's probably both. A supernatural being typically associated with evil, prevalent historically in religion, occultism, literature, fiction, mythology, and folklore. In ancient Near Eastern religions and the Abrahamic tradition, including ancient and medieval Christian demonology, a demon is considered a harmful spirit entity which may cause demonic possession, believe it or not. A demon may cause demonic possession.
What do you think compelled this one to like stop and like do the Running Man?
I don't think he is. I think the picture was just taken when both his feet were on the ground.
It looked like he's about to do the mashed potato or the Running Man or something.
It could be. I would think that it has to do probably with whatever his orders were.
You know what I bet? I bet on the other side of this photo where we can't see, like where he's looking, I bet there's somebody, he's playing red light, green light, and he has to freeze because they said red light.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He might be. I think this is actually a dog man. Just like if I were to look at the legs and I were to make a determination based off of the photo alone, I would actually believe that this was a dog man. However, when I Google imaged
like that.
When I looked on Google Images, this is what came up for demons, and this was the most interesting. This is basically caught on, or paranormal caught on tape. Okay, this is basically, or like if you look on Google, or I'm sorry, YouTube, it's the same thing. If you look on YouTube and you look at scary, just type in scary videos or scary cryptids caught on tape. Like, this is the sort of thumbnail that you're going to see. It will not appear in the video at all, but this will be the thumbnail, and you'll be like... And that's what pisses me off, too, about these people, is they think that I'm so stupid that I can't determine in this photo what I am supposed to draw my attention to, right? Like, in the middle of the picture is this dog man doing the fucking... What is it? The Running Man. I was gonna say the Cabbage Patch. Which one's the Cabbage Patch? That's okay. The Cabbage Patch. I'm thinking of the Egyptian. He's doing the Egyptian or whatever, right in the middle of the street, and I don't know that that's what I am supposed to draw my attention to. What I'm supposed to look for, that picture of that sign on the fence in the background or the potted plant. I don't know. But this dog man.
Photography. That's what it is. It's all no rule of thirds. You know?
Awful.
It's terrible. It's an awful picture.
You know what? Because I'm tired of you making fun of me and my decision for what pictures I chose, I'm going to bring it back to this picture right here.
Oh, dude. Come on. Prince Philip again? You saw this. Why is he
carving this girl's finger?
Oh, he's taking the price, right? That's what he's doing. You know, when you pay a toll with the demon, you got to pay a price, right? It's always something weird. He's like,
It's your finger.
Yes, pinky. Which is really not that bad of a price. Like, I'd probably give up a pinky for like a 10-inch wang or something.
Like, is that it? You know, like, so let me ask you a question, and people in the chat, please answer. Please feel free to answer. Let's say the karmic or religious result of making a Faustian bargain was merely your pinky finger and not like your everlasting soul or whatever, like or your life at some point. Would you be willing to give it up, or would you still be like, no, I'll take a pass on that, even if, like, you know, it had no religious ramifications or whatever? It's just your pinky finger. Would you do it?
Yeah. Absolutely. I can still play video games without my pinky. I definitely would give up my pinky. I don't use it for nothing.
Not Guitar Hero. You could not do Guitar Hero.
Used my pinky. I'll tell you what. The most I've ever used my pinky was when I was doing cocaine a lot. And that would actually keep me from ever doing cocaine again. Well, I'm sure, you know, there's still the key method, you know, where you go like that. I probably shouldn't do that because it's going to make me crave coke. And, you know, I had a bit of a problem. For a long time. So, you know, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
there's a lot of memes out there, V, real quick, about doing cocaine off of a woman's butthole. Did you ever do cocaine off of a woman's butthole?
No, no, you do them off of their tits, not off their butthole.
Really?
I mean, what you're supposed to do. Okay, remember Wolf of Wall Street? I don't know if you've seen it. You should if you haven't. What you do is you get the straw and you blow the cocaine up their butthole. That's how you're supposed to do it. You don't do it up their butthole. I mean, you can put it on their butt and then snort it off their butt, but the best way to do cocaine is like you pour a little bit on their tits and then you just motorboat and like snort coke. We shouldn't talk coke anymore, dude. This is really making me want coke.
All right. We'll move on.
I love cocaine. It's a great drug.
I bet. It sounds awesome.
Get out of cocaine.
It sounds awesome. I'll be honest. Like, a lot of people, like, they want to talk about how, cocaine is bad. It's bad for you, and it's whatever.
The cocaine is like one of the single most amazing things to ever exist. That's what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be done with it. All right. Cocaine. Yeah.
Oh, well, you heard it here first. You heard it you had me at Bigfoot. We're advocates for cocaine.
You're down with doing drugs, and you're like, you don't give a fuck. Go do some cocaine. Stop smoking weed like a 15-year-old and go do some fucking cocaine. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Cocaine is the shit.
Today's episode is brought to you by cocaine.
I can't do cocaine anymore. It's just too expensive. That's all there is to it.
It has nothing to do with that, V. It's because you're a better man. You're too good a man to be doing cocaine.
No, that's not.
Stop it. Let me just compliment you. You're too good a man to be messing around with cocaine. It sounds, like I said, it sounds awesome. There's a lot of things. I'll tell you what. There are some things that we become addicted to that you miss. I'll tell you what. I quit pornography some time ago. I miss it sometimes. I think there are some times where I would have loved to have, I'd love to pull up some porn and watch it. When you guys post things in the Wendigo nudes that are straight up pornography, I feel a little guilty, but again, at the same time, I appreciate if something pops up in front of you, like if you're watching Game of Thrones and the hot girl with the blonde hair and the brown eyebrows comes up on screen and her boobs and her butt are showing, that's one thing. That's not really like you're jacking off to porn. You see something that you shouldn't see, right? And you move on. But I'll tell you what, I gave up smoking, and then within recent months, I've given up vaping as well. So I have given up nicotine entirely. I'm almost vice-free at this point. And I'll tell you what.
Straight? Well, no, you drink, so you're not straight edge.
I do. I drink. And I don't think I'll ever give that up because I don't think I have a problem. I knew I had a problem with pornography. Now, let me tell you this. Hold on. You want to pick on me for having a problem with drinking. I only drink on Wednesdays. Did you know that? I only drink on Wednesdays. I will only drink on Wednesdays, or perhaps if my friend comes over, I will smoke a cigar and I will drink a small glass of bourbon with him. But that's it. That's the only time that I'll ever... with cigars, you don't actually inhale it. You don't actually get the nicotine or anything. But yeah, I gave up vaping. The only thing that I still do is I drink on Wednesdays. And then when my friend comes over, I will have a bourbon and I will smoke a cigar with him. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to give up. Once you realize that how freeing, how liberating it is to give up vices, it's the sky becomes the limit and it becomes just a lot of fun.
I disagree 100%. Okay, I'm sorry.
Please.
Yeah. And it's all, here's why. And I get what you're saying, and I respect it. I do. In fact, I admire you for feeling that way. But I don't. Everything that I've had to give up was because it is detrimental. I had to stop doing cocaine because it was a huge problem with my wallet, and I was not doing anything except cocaine, right? And then same thing with pot. I stopped smoking pot because I stopped exercising and just got fucking fat, right? And then giving up food and not eating all the time and all this unhealthy food. I have to do that because first of all, I don't want diabetes. I don't want adult onset diabetes, right? And then let's see, cigarettes. Cigarettes is probably the only thing that I can say I don't miss them because now I haven't smoked in 3 years now. I smoked a cigarette in 3 years now, and I smell cigarette. I go downstairs and like I'll walk past one of my neighbor's apartments and it just like reeks of cigarettes coming out the door, and it's like, ugh, it's so gross smelling now to me. Like it's disgusting. I don't like the smell. But that's probably the only thing that I'm like okay with giving up. Like I miss cocaine, dude. I don't think I could ever give up porn. I don't think I could ever give it. In fact, I'm afraid that if I get married, my wife had better be like super hot and like banging all the time, like wanting to bang all the time. Otherwise, I'm gonna get that urge to like, grab the VR set and go bang some, porn star. And I'd probably never cheat, but I'd definitely look at porn. And then as far as like food goes, I love eating like fat food. Like, dude, cheeseburgers, I fucking love cheeseburgers. And I have to give that up because it's fucking fattening, and you get fat. One fucking cheeseburger and all my work of 2 weeks of, I do this intermittent fasting. And I walk, it's like one cheeseburger, dude, and that fucking is just gone. It's all out the window. That's like 2 pounds right there, and it takes like a week to lose a pound. So you're fucked, right? So having to give all that stuff up sucks to me. Like I wish, like if there's a demon listening or God or whoever, give me the ability to not have those effects, negative effects, negative effects of doing cocaine or eat if I could just like eat fast food and never gain weight, that would be like ideal, because I think all that food that's garbage for you is just delicious. It's so good. It's so much better than eating healthy food. I hate healthy food. I'd rather eat cheeseburgers and drink Cokes all day. That's what I'd rather do. But you can't, because you'll end up with fucking diabetes or like heart disease, right? And you don't want that. You don't want to die before, whatever. I don't know. Not that life's so fucking great, but I'm just saying.
You know what, though? You know what I've realized through this whole rant that you've just done is that if you're not really addicted to anything. Because anything that you just don't, like porn, you don't feel like it's a problem. So it's not. So you don't give it up. That's fine. Food, you felt like it was a problem. Certain foods, right? You felt like it was a problem. You gave it up. Smoking, you felt like perhaps it was a problem. You transitioned to vaping, which is less bad for you. I will agree. Vaping, I think anybody who smokes, I think they should vape.
I've been smoking for years and then just recently started vaping just because I have like an oral fixation, I think.
I know you do.
Well, yeah,
remember how, like I said earlier about how I knew if somebody was gay, like if I looked down and they were blowing me or whatever? That's how I knew that you had an oral fixation. And then the other thing was the cocaine. You knew you had a problem, you got rid of it. Weed, you knew you had a problem, you got rid of it. So you're not really, like, you don't have an addictive personality. You have a personality like you control very much. I don't have that luxury.
Personality is excessive. I can't everything in excess. Like that's my problem, is I had to get my excess under control and go, okay, all these things are going to kill you or break your bank and you end up on the streets like an idiot with no money and no place to live. And so to get all that under control so I could have this like livable life, I'm fine now, right? Like I have this nice apartment, I have a nice car, I pay my bills on time, my credit cards and all that, whatever, the fucking adult thing, right? The fucking socially acceptable, live like a fucking whatever and do what you're supposed to, whatever. But I mean, realistically, dude, if they legalized cocaine and like made it like medical, like I could just go get it, then I would do the shit out of cocaine all the time because it is amazing. That is an amazing drug. There's no doubt about it. I think it should be legal, honestly. Think about it.
Somebody in the chat asked, does Coke in between count as breaking your fast?
No, absolutely not. It's an appetite suppressant. It helps. Just like nicotine. Nicotine's an appetite suppressant. It would help you not eat, to be honest.
All right. All right. Enough. All right. We got to move on. Because, first of all, I have a friend in the chat who I didn't know was still listening. Like, I guess I saw him. I thought maybe he tuned in at the beginning and then probably bounced. But he's still listening. And he's the kind of guy who, like, the super fan can't be associated with the show because he has a really good job. So this dude and super fan, they have really good jobs, that they can't be associated with the likes of us, so they watch in secret. He's still watching, and I don't want to lose him. And we're only 2 ghosts in, so let's move on to the next one. We have something called the Goryo. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Let me see here.
Yeah, I buy them all the time at the grocery store.
A Goryo?
A little white middle and the fucking.
No, that's an Oreo. From 2 kanji words meaning go, meaning honorable, and ryo, meaning soul or spirit. Are you tracking that? I know you speak.
It's not Goryo, it's Go Rio.
Yeah,
Go
Goryo.
No.
Go Rio. That's
No.
what I said.
Go Rio.
You know, if I would have read my notes here. Also, welcome to the chat. Individual who cannot be named. Also, Dash G and Critter Me Timbers. Welcome to the chat. But yeah, a vengeful Japanese ghost from the aristocratic classes, especially those who have been martyred. The Goryo Shinko is a Japanese belief that threatening natural disasters and epidemics are caused by onryo, restless spirits of people who died with a grudge and met unnatural deaths, and that the awning, reposing, and respecting of these souls will help to avoid their curses and bring peace and prosperity to society. Do you know anything about these creatures? I know you're like way more knowledgeable about.
There's a group of fucking people that actually rid the world of them, and I forget what they're called now. I wish Jurassic Weeb was here to back me up on this. They wear these talisman things on their face, and they're like Japanese ghost hunters. What are they called? Oh man, they wear these really cool little circular hats, and then they have this talisman that covers their face. Omyoji, that's what they're called. Omyoji. You get what I'm saying? Google it.
Yeah, I've never heard of such a thing, but I believe you.
Google it.
I'm inclined to believe you. All right. So here's a little. There's some literature. Useful literature. An example of a Goryo.
Goryo.
Yeah, you got to say it like a Japanese stereotype. Goryo is the Shinto in the Shinto kami known as Tenshin. Government officials Shugawara and Mishizane. What?
Did you say Tenshin?
No, Tenjin.
Tenjin.
Yeah, it's a J, not a shin.
Tenjin.
Yeah, he was killed by a rival member of the Fujiwara clan. And years after his death, the capital city was struck by heavy rain and lightning. And his chief Fujiwara adversary, and Emperor Daigo's crown prince, died, while fires caused by lightning and floods destroyed many of residences. The court drew the conclusion that the disturbances, this is a court, determined that it was a ghost, were caused by his angry spirit. In order to placate him, the emperor restored all his offices, burned the official order of exile, and was promoted to the senior second rank. So, like, in death, he was able to posthumously get promoted. Now we have next. Yeah, like, you can't, whatever, if he was able to rain down hell and hellfire on this town, and they were able to restore him and promote him, which I think is actually why, like, if somebody is killed in action, they're posthumously promoted. Is that why, V? You know about that. You'd have to do the paperwork, right? The next one is the Hantu. Have you ever heard of a Hantu?
No. It's probably, okay, here's the thing with, if this is a Japanese word we're referring to, Japanese people tend to like romagify, I don't know, that's not a word, but they tend to make English words sound Japanese. So a haunt, like something like that's haunted, that's how you'd say it. It's haunted. It's a haunt.
So it's like making fun of Americans?
Kind of. It's kind of like that's how they pronounce haunt. Okay. Is haunt.
Well, yeah. No. Everything that was just said is incorrect. Hantu is a Malay or Indonesian word for spirit or ghost. Modern use implies spirit of the dead, but also has come to refer to any legendary invisible being, including demons. Now, here's the thing about hantus is there are many different kinds, which is kind of cool. I wish I could get rid of this. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Pardon me. Please, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
I gotta get rid of all these.
These bitches.
Yeah, it's too many chicks on the screen. Come on. Yeah, it was. It was the banshees. They came back. The hantu. All right, here we go. So there's a lot of different types of hantu, and this is actually from Magic the Gathering here. But there are hantu air, which is a spirit inhabiting the water. Hantu Baruch, an ape demon, as you see before you. Hantu Belian, a tiger spirit. Hantu Musang, a cat spirit that is invoked in the game of possession. Hantu Pasaku, which is a grave demon. I actually have a picture of that one here, too. Let me pull him up. Yeah, here's a Hantu Pasaku. The Hantu Raya, it's a great demon. Now, this Hantu is considered the strongest among evil spirits in the jungles of Malaysia. It takes the appearance of the owner. And then the Hantu Rimba, which is the deep forest demon, and the Hantu Tinga, a tall Hantu that is associated with trees. So, from what I can gather, these Hantus, this is kind of like, so if we wanted to like break it down from ghosts, and then there's like a subcategory of Hantu, under the Hantu, there's like 8 subcategories of Hantus. So this is kind of like, if we want to make it more sense of it, perhaps this is like the Indonesian or the Malay, the Malaysian ghost subcategories. Okay, so this is like not necessarily a subcategory, but it's its own subcategory. Hantu being its own category. V, you look ecstatic over there. What have you got? What's on your mind?
Man, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, fascinating. Fucking fascinating.
It doesn't sound like it's fascinating. V, tell me your real.
I'm trying to be. You know, look, don't come at me, bro. Don't come at me, bro. I don't know.
What do you want to hear about, V? Tell me, because I can probably work something up about that might be fascinating to you. What sort of thing do you want to hear about in the ghost world, V?
Let me think. I don't know. I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just not a topic that interests me. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I've never seen a ghost. Like remember that one time we went ghost hunting in Wichita, and I was all like, dude, we're gonna see a ghost tonight, and then we yelled at it and we called him a bitch, and he never came out or anything. And I was like, man, we antagonized this guy, and I even expected him to get pissed off, and he didn't. So it's hard for me to get be interested in stuff that I think is just a load of shit, to be honest. That all these people come up with these weird things, and I'm more inclined to believe that they're just like demons. Like maybe somebody was possessed by the devil, or I don't know. Even then, I go, well, maybe they're on some drugs. Maybe they're on some drugs or something. But I don't know. And like half of the pictures you have too are like, from video games or Magic the Gathering. So it's not like, I'm not trying to like knock any of this. Like by all means, like continue. But I'm just, I don't mean to be bored, dude. I'm sorry.
You're hurting me. You hurt my feelings because ghosts that excites me. I like ghosts. I think they're, I think they can be scary, but I get it.
Tell me why they're great. Tell me why tell me why they're so cool. That's what I want to know. I don't want to know where they come from or any of that crap, because that stuff's boring to me. I want to know what makes them cool. What is an attribute about the Hantu that makes them like different from other ghosts? Like why are they?
Listen, and I can't do that, V. All right? I can't do that. What I can tell you, so I can't sit here and I can't tell you why the Black Widow spider is cool, right? Because spiders are, to me, they're fascinating. That sort of thing is fascinating to me. Creatures or whatever, insects, arachnids, they're fascinating to me. But I can't sit here and I can't convince you, somebody who is not fascinated by, by spiders or by insects or whatever.
be interested. Like I'm not like actively trying to like ruin the show today.
You're
Like
killing it.
I want to be interested. I want to be like, okay, tell me, tell me about it. Tell me what's cool. What the fuck? But I'm just not. I'm not getting it here. I'm like. I feel like I'm listening to a lecture. I
Well,
feel
you
like
are listening to a lecture. That's what's happening.
and there's no, you know,
Well,
yeah.
truth be told, that's what's happening here, V, is we're talking about. I am trying to. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Okay.
Uh,
Because if you play the game Phasmophobia, right? Fun game, inaccurate when it comes to ghosts. Okay. Even if I were to say I disagree with it on a fundamental level about what ghosts are or whatever, and the fact that they've created different characters or different villains within the game, and they are not accurate to what the true origin of that particular character. I could sit here and I could poke holes in all that, but or I could poke holes in the fact that Phasmophobia and I have different basic understandings of what ghosts are. But the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to poke holes in Phasmophobia at a fundamental level, right? And a lot of people are going to watch these or are going to play this game, and they're going to think, for instance, I don't know. A demon can be tracked by cooler temperatures, which is accurate. But they can be tracked by a writing in a book, because that's one of the things that you can do in the game. If you leave a book, sometimes the demon will write in it, and that's evidence that it's a demon. People will think, a demon will always write in a book. Now, what I'm trying to show here is that their understanding in the game, whether or not it's the understanding or whether or not it's the way that they present it to make it a game, which I understand is something that they may have to do, it's incorrect, right? And I want kids who are playing this game, like for instance, my oldest son plays this game, and he has this belief that the sort of things that you see in Phasmophobia are accurate. That's not the case. These ghosts and these entities are not what they are presented to be in the game. So the thing with ghosts, V, and why I cannot make them interesting to you, is because they are not designed to be interesting, right? That would be like you saying, well, okay, smartass, make cursive interesting to me. And I would be like, well, I can't make cursive interesting to you, because cursive inherently is not interesting except to certain people. Certain people will find it fascinating. But ghosts, much in the same way, like a lot of these things are they're not interesting. Even as I was researching them, I found myself bored with some of these, especially the Japanese ones, which is why I was hoping that you would actually tackle the Japanese ones. Because I find a lot of these different ghosts and a lot of these different cultures, the Malaysian, what was the one we were just talking about? The Thailand or whatever the fuck it was. Indonesian, I'm sorry. That sort of shit bores me, because what it ends up being is it ends up being redundant. It ends up being, as cultures from one culture to the next, what we call a ghost, or we call a poltergeist, or we call a demon, the Arabs call a jinn, or the Malaysians call what did they call them? A hantu, right? So that was kind of what I was getting at. I apologize, because I can't make it interesting to you, because you did have a bad experience, unfortunately. And a lot of people, and here's something that I will, and you know what, maybe we could talk about that, because a lot of times with ghost hunting, a lot of kids, they get out there to go ghost hunting, and their first experience is awful. It's just terrible. There's nothing fascinating about it, which was your experience, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing happens, and it kills the person. It kills the drive to want to be.
We did get drunk. That guy gave us free drinks all night. We got wasted. It was fun, but there was no paranormal.
That's true. There's no paranormal. And that's the thing, and maybe we make that, maybe that's what this episode becomes about briefly, is a lot of people who want to. Now, I will say I don't recommend anybody get into ghost hunting and particularly going out there and antagonizing ghosts, or because I've told this story countless times where I became demonically oppressed because of going out and antagonizing ghosts and going out and getting involved in some of that stuff. I don't recommend it to anybody. But if you're going to, it's not going to be. It's if your first time nothing happens. That's not or that's not to say that you did anything wrong. It's not to say that ghosts aren't real. It's not to say that the paranormal isn't real. It's not to say any one thing or the other. It's just to say that, like, I mean, if you went out and you wanted to fly a kite and there was no wind, and you went out there and you kept throwing the kite up as you ran and nothing, and it never stuck, and it kept falling, that's not to say that there's no such thing as wind. It's just to say that it wasn't there that day. And that's the problem that you'll have is with every, I mean, you might go out and go ghost hunting 10 times and only have one small minor occurrence that is paranormal one time. And that shouldn't be a discouraging factor, albeit it will be, because if you go out 10 times and you only succeed, if you go out fishing 10 times and you only catch a little fish one time, that's discouraging, right? The same is true of paranormal investigations. If you go, you may go out 10 times and you may have one minor little paranormal experience. It's not to say that the paranormal doesn't exist. It's just to say that you either weren't in the right place at the right time, you weren't, whatever. There's a lot of different circumstances. The thing with the spiritual world is that we don't understand it. Science can't prove it, and that pisses a lot of people off. Science can't prove or disprove the paranormal. And then once we have all these, we've got all these different types of ghosts, what if they're not interested in, we have 16 different types of ghosts that we were going to talk about today. If, say, only one of them is interested in you or the type of ghost hunting that you're going to do, but you're present in only 15 of the other ghosts areas, then you're going to, of course, believe, well, yeah, there's no such thing as ghosts because fucking I didn't have an experience any of the times that I went out, right? So it's a weird thing, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the honesty because I had a lot of really good experiences. I also had a lot of nothing happened experiences. The difference was, I kept doing it even though I had been shown up a bunch of times by ghosts. Whereas the opportunity only presented itself for you really one time. Like the one time I was like, hey, do you want to come with on a ghost hunt? And that time nothing happened. So I don't want anyone out there to be discouraged in the way, and V, obviously, I'm not picking on you. I'm not insulting. I'm not trying to be insulting. But I will say a lot of the people out there who also believe that, oh, well, I never had any experience with paranormal, so there's no such thing as paranormal. That's not true. It's just, well, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you can and cannot believe, but I will say that, maybe it's going to take more than one try for you to recognize. Here's a good one. What if you only, here's one hopefully V you'll relate to. What if the first time you had sex with a woman, it was not something that was particularly appealing to you? Would you say at that point, well, I guess I must be gay, right? You wouldn't. So, you kind of have to treat paranormal investigations the same way. The first time that you went, nothing happened. It wasn't interesting. That doesn't mean that there's no such thing as the paranormal. It means you got to try again. Or you could go to the full extreme and say, you know what, maybe I'm gay. Which doesn't sound like that. I can't imagine that would be anyone's initial reaction to having a negative experience banging a chick. But that's the point I'm trying to drive home. V, go ahead and tear me apart because I know you've got something to say.
I don't know what to say, dude. Come on, you put me at a loss. I I don't get your analogy because, first of all, if I was banging a chick and the first time it didn't go well, there's not like it's not an invisible chick that I go, well, she's not here, so who knows? She didn't show up for the banging, so maybe I won't ever have sex again. There's all these women in the world. There's billions of women in the world. Whereas like paranormal is ghosts, I go, well, where is even one? I've never even seen one. I'll be 40 years old next month, dude, and I've never experienced any paranormal or anything. I've never anything like that. And I'd like to, because I'd like to know. That's why I always say I'm agnostic, because I want to believe that there is something. I want to believe that there's something other than us, something, not just paranormal, but, better than us, at least, right? Something, but I mean, I don't know. Right now I'm going, I haven't seen anything. At this point, that something should bother me, like in the paranormal or demonic world, because I'm so disgusted by them about it. Like, dude, by all means, come visit me, dog. Like, what is up? Fans, come visit me, dog. Right? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, come on, I'm down. Come hang out or whatever. I don't care. You're not gonna bother me. There's literally nothing that a ghost could do to bother me aside from killing me. Which even in that case, I mean, come on, I'm gonna travel the cosmos after that, right? Isn't that what happens? You go to outer space.
You're thinking of the magic cosmos, man. That's a different situation.
Dimension or something, or my energy will be slow, or I'll experience a singularity, or something will happen. I'm sure something happens after death, right? It's got to.
You think so?
Yeah, death can't be that bad. I don't think it could be. If it's really what atheists believe, they go like an atheist explains it to you like this. Like, do you remember before you were born? Like, do you remember before you were born? Well, no, I don't. I didn't exist, so I don't remember that. Well, that's what it's going to be like when you die. That's how they explain it to you. And if that's what it is, that's going to suck, which is why I would prefer to be immortal. That's why I want it. That's what it is. My worry, my concern is that there is nothing, and then you're just dead and you don't exist anymore. That's going to be boring. Or how would I even know, right? How would I even know if it's boring or not, because I'm not going to exist anymore. So I guess the point is finding out if there is something after then. At least I have something to look forward to when I die. But as of right now, I'm going, well, what the fuck, dude? Somebody tell me something. Somebody show up. I don't care whether it's a ghost, a demon, an angel, God himself. Come down and let me know for sure, for sure. Because I'm tired of all this, like, oh, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if there is or there isn't. Or you got to go look. You got to go look. Well, what the fuck, man? I'm 40 years old. I'm getting to the point where it's like, at this point, dude, it's like how I feel about dating women, right? Like it used to be when I was a kid, I was like, strange. I got to get that strange. I got to go out and get chicks all the time. I got to get laid. I got to meet some girl. I got to go buy hookers and go do this and go do that. And now I'm old and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I'll meet a girl or something, probably. I don't think I'm ever going to have kids. That's probably not going to happen. God forbid I procreate, right? Like, fuck. Could you imagine a little D? Fuck, dude, that'd be awful. You'd be like a foul-mouthed, horrible person. It probably would be a bad idea for me to procreate, to be honest. But the last thing that I need to know, like on my deathbed, I'm going to be like, fuck, dude, one of you guys show up and just give me like the thumbs up, like, you're good, dude. There's going to be something after. But as of right now, I guess that's what it comes down to is it doesn't interest me because I go, well, what, dude? What are we learning here? Like, what is it that we're learning, I guess. And
we're learning the possibilities.
That's just a given, right? The possibility is a given. Because there's always a possibility. There's a possibility that Doctor Strange, like a real Doctor Strange, lives in another dimension and he's the Sorcerer Supreme. That's a possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a possibility that in another dimension there's a me but with boobs, right? It's a me with boobs in another dimension.
There is. I think there are many. Yeah.
They have the beard and all that too.
No, I don't think so.
I'm just I don't get it. I feel bad because I feel like I just shit all over this episode and I didn't want to, but you called me out for looking bored.
No. That's fine because now we only got through like 3 or 4 of the the ghosts or whatever. But um, so you've not, so you're concerned about the afterlife. Like you're concerned about the atheistic idea that we just
Well,
stop existing, right?
isn't it a big concern both ways, right? Like, okay, if what the atheists say is true and there's just nothing afterwards, that sounds pretty awful. And if what the Christians say is true and hell is after for me, then that's gonna suck too. So it's a big concern to know, like, whether who's right or wrong, right? Like, even if, and my dad, he always says it's a gamble. Doesn't matter what you believe, right? You're gambling. We're all gambling. That's all there is to it. Which that's true, right? Like, even like we could get up there. We always say this, and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mormon was the right answer."
Yep.
And shit, damn it, I was so close. I was in the Judeo-Christian. Doesn't that count? Sorry, bro. Or we could get up there, and it could be Alibaba and his fucking 47 virgins, and he goes, "Hey, man, you didn't kill enough Americans." Fuck, we don't know. We have no idea. It could
Lord
be the
knows
Jap.
I did.
I don't know.
My issue is, and frankly, I mean, what's the downfall to me not believing Shinto or not believing whatever Muslim or Islam or whatever? There's really no downfall. Who cares? Even in like even if Judaism is the right one or whatever, like hell for Judaism isn't even that big of a deal. I don't know. I think like I don't really even think about it that much, the afterlife. But if I were wrong, so if it came down to like a binary, like Christians or atheists, who's right? Like if I'm wrong, I won't even know. Like I won't even know if I was wrong because I will just not exist anymore, right? But if they're wrong, that's a problem. And for them, it's a problem for them. It doesn't affect me any. It'd be a shame because I'll be like, man, all these dudes I told, like, I tried to tell, I tried to warn, I tried to help, I tried to whatever. Now I don't get to hang out with them or whatever for eternity. Right. That's one thing. But other than that, I mean, I end up in paradise for eternity. But if I'm wrong and the atheists are right, then I just cease to exist. So they don't even get to tell me, haha, I told you so. Which seems to be like the general attitude of it. Because I've never met an atheist who was like, no. Let me tell you the about atheism that's going to make your life better. Believe me, right? I've never had an atheist come to me and be like, your way of living as a Christian is just inhibiting you from living a good life. Let me tell you about atheism and how atheism is right and how you're wasting your time as a Christian. Because frankly, I don't think I'm wasting my time. I spend, an hour or 2 hours a week in church. I try to be a good person, just generally throughout the week, right? I don't feel like being an atheist, all of a sudden I'm going to be like, well, that 2 hours a week I could probably spend going and smoking crack because it doesn't matter, right?
Have you
I could.
tried crack though? I haven't tried.
I have not.
I hear it's really good.
I hear good things from people who are like scratching at their own skin for hours while they ask me, try to tell me about how great crack is. No, it's awesome. Oh my god, like cutting themselves open with their own fingernails. But I could spend that's 2 hours a week banging hookers. That would be awesome. Super great. Like I get it. Like I get how like being an atheist, you all of a sudden are open to all these things that perhaps Christians are not open to. Like I could go out and I could cheat on my wife. Oh, that'd be awesome because I don't have any kind of like anything that I have to answer to. I don't have anyone that I have to answer to for cheating on my wife. I don't have any kind of like karmic punishment for cheating on my wife. So I can go do it because I'm an atheist now. But as a Christian, I would never go out and cheat on my wife, right? Because of the karmic punishment that is associated with it. So this is the sort of thing that, like, atheists, you're not going to sit here and convince me that being an atheist is better than being a Christian because I get to go out and do some shit that I wouldn't have otherwise done as a Christian. That's just not going to happen. So your best argument is like, oh, well, you're setting yourself up for disappointment when you die and all of a sudden you're not welcomed into heaven. And I'm like, well, how am I going to be disappointed by that? Like, if I die and all of a sudden I'm cast into the void of non-existence, like, you don't even get to tell me, haha, I told you so, Christian, which is all they really want. The same way that people who are vaccinated, it's not that they want you to get vaccinated because you'll be healthier. It's because they want you to be vaccinated because they made a decision that they want you to make, right? The atheist makes this decision, oh, God isn't real. And they just want you to also make that decision because they have already made this decision. And for the vaccinated, they can't go back. For the atheist, they don't want to, because then people get to make fun of them because, oh, all of a sudden you've completely changed your mind about this religious belief or whatever. So to me, it's kind of the same thing. The agnostic, I appreciate an agnostic. I think I've made that clear to you many times. I appreciate an agnostic because you just don't know and you're trying to figure it out. But then you've got the atheist who knows for sure. The atheist is just as bad as a Christian because the atheist knows that they're right. A Christian knows that they're right. Neither one of us has definitive scientific, evidence of one or the other. The agnostic is just like, well, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. The difference between you and me is merely faith. That's it. There's no difference between the two of us. And faith and belief, and that's it. What do you make of that? What do you make of my whole argument, V? What holes do you want to poke in it?
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to poke holes in your argument. I agree with you 100% on everything you said. That's not even my concern. I could give a shit about the atheist and whatever they believe. My concern is, like dying and like the afterlife, right? Like what happens, right? Like if I got like, okay, I'm not saying life is so great, or whatever, but I'm having a good time being alive. And if I die, right, I either stop existing, like these are the options, right? You either stop existing like nothing, like before you were born, right? It's just darkness and you don't exist. You go to hell because you were a shitty person and you didn't believe in God or repent or whatever. Or you get to heaven and they're like, hey, welcome. It turns out it was cool and this is heaven, which has to exist in another dimension. If heaven is a real place, it's got to be another dimension because it's certainly not in the sky like we were told when we were kids, because it can't be. You can look up there and go, well, there's nothing up there, right? So, like, this is what I think, right? If those are my three options, like if anybody can think of another option, I mean, aside from, Dmitry Itzkov's immortality cure for aging, that if those are my options, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like heaven to me, I don't know much about it, other than it's quote unquote paradise, And like to me, I go, well, what is their definition of paradise? Because it may not be my definition of paradise. Like I could get up to heaven, they go, guess what, dude? It's all white here, there's clouds and stuff or whatever. And I go, well, I like to wear black. I don't look good in white. You can see my moobs when I wear white. And I don't want to wear white, And they go, oh, what's but you can't go around banging people, and we're gonna take away that want and desire of things, and I'm gonna miss that. I want to bang chicks still, and I get to heaven, I don't get to do that anymore. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't sound like that great, and I guess that doesn't to say that it isn't, because I don't know. That's to say, whoever explained it in the Bible, or the people that said, hey, this is what heaven's supposed to be like, this is what we know, they didn't do a very good job, or they didn't get enough information for us to go, hey, that sounds like a place that I want to be. It just doesn't appeal to me enough to want to go, hey, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to buy into this Christian stuff because heaven's going to be so much better than what earth is, and that's what I have to look forward to. Like, to me, that's the goal, right? Like, there's all these other things, and, I think you've said it before, like that's not what your concern is. It's, something else. It doesn't matter if that's what it is. But, for me, that's not what it is. Like on Earth, I'm here. I exist. Life hasn't been good to me. I haven't had like this great, wonderful life. I've only recently started thriving. And that was because like, I had to do all this other crap, get addicted to cocaine and like steal from the government. Like I've had to do like some pretty shady shit to get where I am today. And so, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I go good, bad, whatever. It's really just matters like how you go about it and like succeed in a certain way. But the fact of the matter is we're on a ticking clock. And as I get older, like I said, I'm going to be 40. As I get older, that becomes abundantly clear. In fact, here's an interesting thing. I was talking to my dad the other day, and I get mad at him all the time because he'll like do things that like he's old and he should like he's 67, like he's getting up there, right? And I'm always like, dude, don't get on ladders when there's nobody around. 'Cause if you fall, you're going to hurt yourself. And he tells me the story. He goes, I was sitting on the couch and all of a sudden I had this weird feeling and I started to black out. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, dude, you're the only parent I have left. Please take care of yourself. You don't understand how important that is, right? Like I had to like really kind of lay into him. Like I felt like I was the dad going, listen to me. You need to blah, 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 because you're the only parent I have left. You're really all I've got. And I had to kind of chew him out. Like, don't do stuff. He goes, well, in my mind, I think I'm 30, but this, and I go, well, you're not 30. You're 67 years old. The heart disease, all these things are a problem. You need to start being concerned about that stuff. And it's like, it's starting to like set in to him now. So he's like trying to be more healthy. But as I'm getting older, these are things that like are very clear to me. And I like hit that wall when my mom passed away. I like became obsessed with my mortality and was like, shit, dude, like death is real. And like, there's going to be a chance for me to die. Right. And so like, because of that, I have to sit here and go, well, how's that going to happen? It's inevitable. Right. So there's so many ways that you can die. And the number one is heart disease and aging. Right. So those are things that you got to think about and go, well, at some point I'm going to die. So what's after? Or maybe you don't care and you just go, whatever, who gives a shit? So that's where I am with all that. I don't know what you guys think in the audience there, the fans or the friends of the show, as Tom calls you guys. I'd love to know some of your opinions on that, what you guys are concerned about, if you're concerned about the afterlife, because, that's my big concern. It's like I don't really want to go be in heaven and not be able to do things that I can do. There's so many things that I want to achieve in life, and I think about it, I go, there's not enough time. There's definitely not enough time. And I fucked off a lot of my time as a kid. Like I totally blew off so much shit. I think, man, if I could go back and tell myself like, look, dude, start focusing on school, stop getting high, focus on what you really want to do. Cause once you start getting older, these windows and doors start to close and those opportunities disappear. So if you had been smart when you were a kid, for those of you that are still young, right, in your 20s, like that is the age to like jump on what you want to do with your life, because once you start getting older, you go, holy shit, what did I fucking do with my life? And then there are people who are lucky enough to like have a connection with someone and go, hey, we're going to do this together, but guys like me, man, I repel people. And so I don't have that luxury. I get to sit here and go, well, who knows what's going to happen. So for me, I just go, well, fuck it, dude. That's what it comes down to. Fuck it. And the only reason I do all the things that I enjoy now is because I start going, well, fuck, dude, if I do those things, I'm not going to be able to follow this path that I'm on, as career goals or whatever. Or who knows, I could OD on some cocaine and end up, in the void or in hell or maybe in heaven going, well, this isn't what I expected, or there's some pedophiles up there and I'm going, you allowed these motherfuckers up here? What the hell, man? So I know you took off. Where'd you go?
I had to go take a piss.
Oh.
No. So here's the thing about heaven: is a lot of people they have this understanding of what heaven is supposed to be, but the fact of the matter is, Scripture doesn't say anything about what heaven is supposed to be, really. And so anybody who talks to you about, well, this is what heaven is, or heaven is going to look like this, or heaven is going to be like this, nobody knows. Scripturally, this is all based off of like the church fathers, and you know how I feel about the church fathers. I don't respect any of them. I think they have probably. I mean, they're probably pretty smart guys, and they probably have a really strong, like a good head upon their shoulders, like theologically. But I don't respect anything that they say because they, they don't draw from scripture; they draw from opinion. So anytime that people tell me that, oh well, I'm not going to like heaven, I can generally disagree with them because I kind of know what you're interested in, and I kind of know what heaven is going to be like based off of what scripture says. And I can tell you that my opinion, and everybody thinks that they're right, right? Um, you know that I'm an eschatologist. My studies are almost entirely in Revelation and the sort of stuff of like what happens after we die. That's like almost entirely all of my opinion or my studies or whatever. And I think like anytime I've ever described heaven on here with the heaven HQ situated on Earth and the dimensions and being able to explore the cosmos and all that stuff, I think that's probably the most scripturally sound explanation of what heaven is that you're going to find ever. Because I don't base it off of my opinions, I base it off of what was written in Scripture. So the idea that when you talk about like other dimensions, I think you're right. I think I agree with you that heaven is currently another dimension, but in time, this earth that we live on is the earth that we are going to live on again. And this universe that we live in, because okay, so if you wanted to sit here and you wanted to pick on me about my belief in Christianity and how it doesn't allow, like, why would God create Earth in a universe that we cannot explore, right? Why would we have this universe that we physically cannot explore? Because we're going to have an eternity to explore it, right? So when the time comes, and when Christ returns and all that, I think we're going to return to this earth, and our bodies will be buried here. Our bodies will be physically here, in this dimension. Whether or not, like, if somebody wants to be launched into outer space or whatever, I don't know what, but if you're buried here, if you're cremated or whatever, you will be revived, and you will be living in this dimension, in this universe, and you will have an eternity to explore this universe. Like, why would this universe exist if we were not able to explore it? And I challenge you, to anybody out there, to find scripture that disproves what I just said, because there is none. The scripture, my opinion of heaven, and like you mentioned, my opinion on the matter is that it's just not something that's important to me. If I am cast into a lake of fire, that would suck. That would be awful. But that's not something I think about. If I am on Judgment Day allowed into heaven, or allowed to live in eternal paradise, or I'm able to, whatever happens when we die, because there are a lot of things and a lot of theories that I'm working through right now that I'm trying to study and wrap my head around. Whatever happens on Judgment Day, if it's positive, super, great, wow. But my reason for living a certain way has nothing to do with whether or not I live forever in paradise, or whether or not I live forever in, or die forever in hell, or whatever. Or if there's some kind of purgatory situation. It has nothing to do with that. I care less. Because my reason for living a certain way now is different than it was, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. Because I used to be a huge piece of shit. And I'm not saying that anybody who doesn't live like me now is a piece of shit. I'm just saying I lived poorly. I made bad decisions. Because I didn't necessarily care. I didn't. And now I have changed based off of what I have read, based off of what I have studied, because Christ told us, hey, you got to live a certain way. This is how I want you to live. And to me, that is like, okay, well, I'm going to live that way. That's how I'm going to live, because I respect his word, and therefore I am going to live a certain way. Whether or not that results in me having eternal paradise or eternal damnation doesn't really matter to me. I would hope that it results in the former than the latter, but whatever. It doesn't matter because my opinion is that, hey, we need to live a certain way because Christ told us to live a certain way. And Christ died for us so that we could, so we could live positively. He wanted us to model his, his, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm drunk. But he's,
Emulate.
say again?
Emulate.
Yeah, he wants us to emulate him or whatever. And I'm okay with that. I'm like, well, that seems like a good way to live anyways. Even if I were to look at it, and I know we've talked about this, but even if I were to just look at it like a way like, hey, is this beneficial to me as a human being in a modern society? All the things that Christ said is, yes, these are all things that would benefit me as, in a modern society or whatever. So again, that's just, if I were to just completely eliminate the eternal whatever punishment or reward, that's still a pretty good way to live. And that's so anyways, but I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to browbeat you or whatever, but I get where you're coming from. I do, believe me, because I was there with you for the longest time. I happened to take a detour or whatever. I happened to branch off at a certain point, but I lived the same way that you lived for the longest time, and eventually, like,
I don't know.
within,
I don't know about.
well, 3 years ago, I will say, when I decided to finally, plant both feet on this path or whatever, I would say that I lived at least morals based on morals alone in our understanding of whatever. I mean, 3 years ago, I pretty much said, okay, no, I want this. This is the path that I want to take. Whereas you continued on the same path. So I'm not, by no means am I sitting here and, chastising you and saying, you're fucked up. Because I would be saying, well, 3 years ago, I was fucked up. Like, for my entire life, I was fucked up. So I can't sit here and I can't pick on you for it because I was the same way. But I will say that I have made changes in recent years that I'm happy with. And, as eschatology, my opinion on eschatology or whatever, yeah, I don't know, man. I think when people talk about, oh, heaven, you'll just be singing hymns and you're going to be in the choir and you're going to be praising and singing hosannas and this sort of stuff. I think a lot of that is, people just trying to not get associated with that and trying to distance themselves away from it. Because when people say, for instance, there's a line where it says, you'll be praising God for eternity. I would say that in any given thing that I do, I praise God. In this program, I praise God, right? So, like, you would never associate some of the stuff that we talk about on this show with praising God. Lord knows I wouldn't. But the fact that I come out and I say, hey, this is what I believe, this is my belief, this is my theology, this is my opinion on this is my thing. I love God, I love Christ, I love the Holy Spirit, I have accepted all of them. When I say stuff like that, that is praising God. So you had me at Bigfoot is in itself a way to praise God. So when people say you'll be praising God for eternity and they automatically think singing hymns, I think coming on this show and talking to people who might otherwise not be exposed to God and the gospel and the good news, I think when I go out and I garden and I'm tending to God's creation, I think when I go out and there's a bird that's in my yard that can't escape, that wants to get back to its mother, and I relocate it to its mother, I think of that as praising God. I think of getting out and raising and loving my children. I think of treating my wife in a respectful way. I think of loving my friends and my family. I think of all that as praising God. Those are actually examples of praising God. So when I think of praising God for an eternity, I don't think of what probably you think of like singing hymns, of, bowing and, doing the on your knees and praising and raising your hands and lowering, singing hosannas, that sort of thing. I don't think of that. especially when I think of a universe that is unexplored, I think of going to these other planets and tending to God's creation of the universe. I think of that as praising God. Praising God isn't necessarily singing hosannas. Praising God is doing good, just generally, tending to his creation, loving one another, doing all these things. That's a way of praising God. If you can find a way to associate whatever act you're doing as praising God, I think we have an eternity of that to look forward to. If you think of making love to a partner, so I know you had made the comment, and again, I know we're running over on time, but I know you made the comment of banging whores as like you want to do that for eternity. I think in a situation like that, I think having sex with my wife is praising God, because I have become one flesh with my wife, and I love my wife, and when she and I come together in sexual congress, I think of that as praising God. I don't necessarily think of God while I'm doing it, because I think that would be weird. Kind of like in the same way that like a parent saying, "Oh, you've made me a grandparent." Like that's the last thing I was thinking of when I was having sex with my wife and we, made a kid, right? But I think of sexual relations, sexual congress with your wife who you are joined with before God. I think of that as praising God because he created us to be together, right? I think when you say going up and banging whores for eternity, I think that if you were presented with the opportunity to settle down with one person and then you were able to bang that person for an eternity, I think that would be, yeah, you're shaking your head now, and I respect that again. But I think that the situation would be different under we again, we don't understand what eternity will be like. So I know you shake your head, and I'm not going to say no, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I will say that I think there's more to it than, I think it's more complicated than we can appreciate right now. What do you think, V? Now that I've
Well,
browbeated you.
I don't know, man. Truth be told, I think about like my question is this, and I think about when this is something I wanted to ask you about too, is like the what you kind of hope heaven is, and like my idea of heaven, like if heaven is real, this is what I hope it is. I hope I get there and it's just like a bunch of women waiting for me, like beautiful porn star women, and I can just take my pick anytime I want, because I love women, all different kinds, like I can't get enough of them, and it's like I don't think I could ever be with just one because I see another girl and I'm like, wow, that woman is so beautiful, and I can't just not like appreciate the beauty of another woman, you know. Cocaine, I love cocaine. If like I got to heaven and there was some form of cocaine or something that made me feel like I was on cocaine all the time, that would be great. That would be really awesome. Being able to eat whatever I want without putting on weight, or if that doesn't even matter, like nobody cares that you're fat in heaven, or maybe you don't get fat. Like that'd be great. You just eat whatever. I'm not really interested in traveling the cosmos. If I got up there and they were like, here's your camera, you get to be a director, you get to write movies and make all the movies you want and tell all the stories you want, and all these people are going to watch them and they're going to genuinely enjoy them. We're not going to force them to like your movies through some weird like brainwash or whatever. It's people that are going to come see it. And in fact, I don't know, that maybe I wouldn't even like that either. I'd want people to be critical. Like I want people to go, hey, that wasn't very good. That was kind of garbage. That way I can go, well, then I guess I got to write something better next time. I don't know, man. I don't know, that there's like a lot of stuff about it that I go, I don't know. And then like you said, praising God through everything. Like, I don't know, man. Would I be praising God through doing cocaine, you think? Because I sure do like cocaine. And sometimes
Listen,
when you line of coke, it feels like, God damn. In fact, there are many a time that I can say I've snorted a couple lines of coke and been, God damn. I said, God damn. I said, God damn.
some Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
Except it ends up being heroin, and you're like, and you end up ODing. No,
Yeah.
you asked me What do I think heaven will be like? I don't think it'll be much different than this today.
Not what you think it'll be like, what you hope it will be like, what
Oh,
you want heaven to be like. There's no
I
like, oh, this is what I think it'll be like based on whatever. I want to know what you want heaven to be like, what you're like hoping for.
so let me. I don't think I don't have any expectation that it will be anything. I know it'll be awesome, whatever that, because I don't get to dictate. So if I were to sit here and say, "Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be whatever," because I don't dictate what the word awesome or good or great means, right?
Yeah.
I my opinion of what is awesome, good, or great, or whatever, based on my understanding or whatever, is different than perhaps what yours is, or perhaps what somebody who and I don't want. I'm not going to pick on anybody, but I'll say Jay Coob, right?
You're missing my you're
No, hold
missing
on.
every
Let me. No. I get it. I'm getting there. But give me a second. I think your opinion, because, and I'm not saying Jacob is not a smart person. I know that he is, but I know that you go to a greater extent. Like you will study a lot harder linguistics and the etymology of words and the understanding of words because you like words. But for somebody like Jacob, which I think represents for in this particular example the word good. I think if I were to pick on Jacob and say Jacob's definition of the word good is different than mine, certainly is different than yours probably even because you come from an academic standpoint of like, hey, this let's look at it from a dictionary standpoint, let's pick it apart from the let's break it down and let's look at all the different the origins of the word. Me, I'm thinking of the word good. I'm like, well, no matter what, we don't know what the word good means because God's definition of good, he is the ultimate definer of what is good. So I don't know. But if I were to say what I hope heaven would be like versus, I don't know, what I think it is based off of scripture, because scripture doesn't give us anything to work with. It really doesn't. Like if you look at scripture, and I challenge anyone to find something to prove me wrong, scripture doesn't really give us an image of what heaven will be like based off other than what we know from like revelations or whatever what I've talked about heaven HQ and relocating to earth, which a lot of people would disagree with. Anyways, what I hope it will be like, because I only have this frame of reference, I only have life, right? I only have my existence as a frame of reference. So I can assume that earth or that heaven will be equal to, worse than, or greater than life, right? So my life largely has been pretty good. I don't really have any complaints about my life. Certainly not the life that I've created for myself. Based off of the decisions I've made, I am happy with my life. I have a great wife. I have great kids. I have great friends. I have a great house. I live in a great town. Like all the decisions that I have made have led to a great circumstance. Have I had to deal with some bullshit along the way? Yeah, I have. But I can only remember back so far. I can't remember a time where I didn't remember, right? So like what the atheists say, like, do you remember what it was like before you were born? No, I don't. My only frame of reference is from this point all the way back to, well, really when I was 6, I think is my earliest, 5 or 6 is my earliest memory. That's as far back as I can remember. Even if I could remember further back than that, it probably wouldn't matter any because at a certain point it would stop. I would say though that my life has been pretty dang good. Even like what I have now, which is great. If it's anything like this, that would be awesome. For eternity, if my life was like what it is right now for eternity, I would love it. The only difference is that we do know is that there will be no pain, no crying, no tears, none of that or whatever in heaven. So if it's like this, but with those added bonus features, I cannot complain for a second. If my life, if eternity is just like that with those stipulations, those additional stipulations, I what I have nothing to complain about. Um, do I think that's what heaven's going to be like? I think it's going to be better than that. So my understanding or my expectation of heaven is, or my hope for heaven is actually less than my expectation of heaven, because my hope is that it is like this, only slightly better. My expectation, my expectation is that it will be even better than I can understand and comprehend, based on what I've read and based on what I understand, based on scripture. But I've always been the kind of guy who's like, well, I don't want to like count my chickens before they're hatched, right? I don't want to be the guy who makes or I don't want to assume that it's going to be better than it actually is. So what I do is my expectation is like kind of like the bare minimum, but a little better in that regard. Normally, I would say, what do I think this event's going to be like? Oh, I think it's going to be pretty okay. And then it ends up being better than okay. Or a movie, for instance, like when I went and saw, what was that movie I just saw the other day with Gerard Buttcheeks, where he's in the jail. Anyways, I was like, this movie's probably just going to be okay. And then when I went there and it was actually better than okay, I was like, oh, well, you're better off. But if you go in expecting that it's going to be something special and then it ends up not delivering or not hitting that expectation, you're kind of disappointed, right? I think that heaven will probably exceed our expectations, even though it already exceeds what I hope that it will be, if that makes sense. And I know I've kind of like rambled to some degree. I think that we're incapable of understanding even the stuff that was written for us to understand. We have a hard time understanding. I think, I think the stuff that they haven't written about will exceed our ability to understand that. That's just my opinion, though. Wake up, V.
No, I'm totally okay, man. I'm here. Can we shill yet?
Yeah, please go ahead and show.
Thanks for coming out, guys. Sorry the show got derailed. It's my fault. I guess I'm just not fascinated by ghosts. So, if you feel inclined, jump in the Discord and, talk shit to me and call me out for it or whatever. And, there's a Redbubble. We've got shirts on there, stickers, whatever, get our merch if you feel inclined to. And, eat a dick or whatever.
See, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I turn into the "damn you agnostics out there." Then I'll be Alex Jones for religious intolerance. No, and that's the thing with this show is a lot of people come out here expecting us to talk about. That's why we don't really ever talk about what we're talking about on a given episode, because we might set out to talk about ghosts, and then we just don't end up talking about ghosts. We end up talking about them for 30 minutes, and then we being derailed. Like V said, get in there, chew them out, get on the Discord. I make sure I include it as the description of every single episode that we go into, so you're able to jump on there. And like Dan Zag, joined in the Discord, and we love having you. And I don't know if Dan Zag 76 is actually a federal officer of the United States government, but only time will tell. But yeah, if you want to jump in there, we'd love to have you. We love to chat through the thing, and if you want to talk more about ghosts or whatever, that's my thing. V doesn't really like talking about ghosts or demons or
It's not
that sort of stuff.
talking about it. I just don't get the appeal. I don't see the appeal. That's all.
No, I get it, and that's the thing. If you do see the appeal in talking about ghosts, please jump in the Discord, and I'd love to talk to you about it or whatever. And who knows? We haven't even decided what next week's episode is going to be about. Since it's going to be our 100th episode, it's got to be a big deal. So maybe we'll finish up this episode. Our 100th episode ends up being a sequel to the original Ghost episode. But yeah, like V said, jump in the Discord, jump on the Redbubble, buy some cool shit. Whoever joined at the last possible minute, I welcome you to the live stream. And we will see you all next week.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.